It's Tuesday. It means it's grade check time. And who earned their gold plate MVP awards from a really ugly but fantastic finish and win for USC on the road? That's what's coming up next on Locked On USC.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Marc Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you are watching on YouTube or wherever you download that podcast, we are free, and I thank you for coming along and enjoying the show. I hope you're enjoying the show. Whether you are or not, see that red subscribe button? Hit it, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you just want to hear the voice, you enjoy the commentary, and you like listening via podcast, again, whatever platform you use, you can always find me on Twitter at Marc Culkin. All right, so we're 1/3 of the season done. Yeah, 4 games in, 12 games, 1/3 of the season is over. USC is still 4-0. It's good, right? And they're coming off what I guess you would call their offense is coming off of a very forgettable yet probably a very memorable performance in their game against Oregon State. And so I'm going to give out my grades by position group as well as the overall grade for the offense, for the defense, special teams, and overall grade for the game itself. And I think you'll enjoy some of the commentary with that. So here we go. Let's start with the offense. We always do. Everyone thought USC would be the identity of this team would be offensive. And up until Saturday against Oregon State, that was their identity. Their offense turned out to be very offensive to watch against Oregon State. But you know what? You got to give credit to the opponent sometimes. I'm not sure what was going on with the quarterback position for Caleb, but I think overall the grade I'm going to give for the offense is a C. And the position group grades probably aren't going to even that or balance that out to a C. Nevertheless, their performance was very average. So let's just get right into it. I don't know what was going on in the first quarter. There was a lot of confusion. I don't know. Do you want to say that Lincoln Riley was out-coached? Some would make that argument. I know they couldn't hear themselves think with the concert sound system set up on one side of the bench behind USC's bench. That was obnoxiously loud from what I understand. But you can't run out of timeouts in the first quarter. That can't happen. I don't care how loud it is inside the stadium. So whether or not you want to say that they weren't prepared or Lincoln Riley was out-coached, sure, you can make that argument in the first quarter. But in the second half, it didn't seem to be an issue. So adjustments were made. And again, at a certain point, I think players have to execute regardless of what's happening. Only so much preparation can go into the game. And when something happens, players, when that gun sounds and the whistle blows, whatever, the ball's kicked off, you got to go out there and perform, regardless of how loud it is. And yes, you do lean on the coaching staff to make adjustments and help you get through it. So again, the offense, I'm giving them a C overall for the game. Now, by position, we're going to start with quarterback. I'm giving Caleb and I'm probably being gratuitous, giving him just a straight C. I probably could ding him a little bit more, but considering some of the stuff that you're going to hear about now, he had guys in his face all game long. So it's not like he had that comfort level that he was used to, of being able to count to 4 or 5 Mississippi, waiting for his guys to get open. He didn't have that this game. Oregon State's defense, they brought pressure. They made shifts very late into the play calling, or to the play clock, and so you had Lincoln and Caleb second guessing what was going on all the time. And I think that played a role in much of the. I think that played a big role in Caleb's performance, especially in the passing game. So here's a little inside info for you. Look, everyone knows that Bobby Haskins and Cortland Ford have been dealing with a shoulder and ankle sprain, respectively. But the O-line is banged up. It's not just those guys. And I think this Saturday, coming up against Arizona State, you're probably going to see a new starter in the game. So I'm not going to say who, but you probably will. But because of the O-line's limitations, I think the playbook was dialed back a little bit. If you watch this team closely, you probably noticed some stuff that they've been doing in the past 3 games didn't really show itself in this game for whatever reason. You guys can play inch high, private eye, and figure out what I'm talking about. I don't want to get into specifics because I'm too close to the situation, and I don't want USC saying, "Hey, Mark, dial it back on your podcast." So, anyhow, again, Caleb was 44% completion rate. That's not going to get it done most of the time, but he was able to use his athleticism. There's not very many guys who are able to escape the type of pressure he was able to on Saturday because of who he is and how he's able to use his mobility. But nevertheless, 44% passing completion, his 44% pass completion percentage, a lot of that was just on him just not playing well, regardless of what the Oregon State defense was doing. A lot of his throws were short. He was throwing them at the players' feet. Just didn't look comfortable. And even when he did run the ball and went to go get the first down, a lot of times he was, kind of dancing around when he got to the sideline of the sticks. He gave up a first down one time, and he almost did it a second time. I think the officials were very gratuitous with where they placed the ball. So, message: when you're taking off, go get the first down, stop playing, get out of bounds. That's the teacher talking to the student. I don't have that right, but there you go. Anyways, with all that said, it sounds like Caleb played like a really bad game. For about 48 minutes, he had a struggle, but he also had a Heisman moment. And that's what you look for from your leader. And that definitely raised his grade. So, to go in and sacrifice his body the way he did on that 4th down and 6. By the way, I'm wearing my 4th down and 9 shirt tonight. That Neela nudge is going to go down in Trojan lore. Again, he sacrificed his body. That's a testament to his will to wanting to win. So he gets a C. The running backs, I'm giving them a B. Travis Dye was great, save for his fumble at the 1-yard line. Austin Jones, he had a hard time finding his rhythm. Rayleigh Brown, he saw a couple of snaps, not much more. Give those guys a solid B. I thought they should have stuck with the running game a little bit more. That's just me. I'm not in charge, though. Wide receivers, tight ends, I'll give them a C. They didn't do a whole lot. Again, whether that was because they were covered really well by Oregon State secondary. They've got some good players back there that will play on Sundays. Again, watching it on the Pac-12 network, their replay and their television coverage is really crappy to begin with. You just don't know if the wide receivers and the tight ends were doing as much as they could. So I'll give them a C. Again, you had Jordan Addison making the catch of the game, hooking up with Caleb at the end of the game. So you gotta say, hey, they won the game on their last final offensive drive. The O-line, I'm giving them a B. Again, I mentioned it, they're banged up. don't be surprised. You're going to see a new starter on Saturday. I'm not going to say who or what position, but you will. I thought run blocking was really good. Pass pro, they had some iffy moments. Bobby Haskins, he had the heads up moment, and it probably saved the game. It kept gave them the opportunity to pull that win out when he recovered Travis's fumble at that goal line, 1 yard line, wherever it happened. Heads up play. He threw his body on the grenade and saved the team from disaster. Good job. Yeah, I mentioned the play calling. I'm not going to get back into it. Look, the Brett nylon nudge. Without that 4th and 6, you never get the Caleb Williams pass to Jordan Addison, which was just a thing of beauty. But again, without Brett getting to that next level and initiating that push, and Jonah Monheim got there and everybody else got there, imagine if the refs had blown their whistle, because it seemed like that play was stopped short 2 yards, and it was, and they were starting to push him backwards. So sometimes things do work out for the best. My MVP on offense, regardless of how poorly Caleb played, that Heisman moment, he sacrificed his body. He took the punishment on that hit on the 4th down and 6. Multiple guys tattooed him on that play. And then to get back up, stay in the moment, keep driving, and to throw from the left hash mark on a rope to the front of the end zone, right corner. Not many quarterbacks can make that throw, let alone attempt to make that throw. Again, his first Heisman moment of 2022. What can you say about him other than that is, he still has a lot of upside left to go. That was just his 11th start as a quarterback. Saturday against Arizona State will be start number 12. And again, there's so much upside with Caleb and with this offense that Trojan fans should be pretty excited. You know what else has a lot of upside? You need to head on over to and get the Upside app, because if you're cringing at the pump like I am every time you go to get gas, or you're getting that eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. That's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. So I tried this thing out. It really is. It's good, and it's almost too good to be true. If you like, I love Firehouse Subs. They're one of the vendors on there. Use this, because once you get started and you download that free Upside app and you use my promo code LOCKED, you're going to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. So if my sandwich cost $10, I got $5 back. How's that? I spent $5 for a big old sandwich. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business, pay as usual with a credit or debit card, and then you're going to get paid. In comparison to credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week. That's probably why they have a 4.8 star rating on the App Store. All right, so download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCKED to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code LOCKED. Okay. Defense, it's time to look at your report card from this game. Overall, you guys get an A. You won the game. Period. Full stop. Yes, Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison are going to get credit for the game-winning touchdown. But from start to finish, You guys showed up, and it was fun to watch. It was old school football, reminiscent of the days where you just get in a phone booth and you just start slugging it out with each other. That's how they had to play on Saturday, where the offense tried to find themselves. It took a while. Again, the defense had another 4 takeaways. They now have 14 on the year. That's an amazing number through 4 games. And all 4 came via the interception. Crazy. And again, another moment that stood out for me is when they came out in the third quarter and they got the stop. USC was still trailing 7-3. That's crazy. At the half, USC had 3 points. And Oregon State had the ball. They're at home. You think they're going to have the momentum. The crowd's behind them. USC's defense got the stop, and that was huge. Massive. And the other thing you can take away from this defense, I know I'm probably a little ahead of myself, but why I'm giving them a grade and why they're getting an A is because they showed improvement from the previous week to this game. And they were able to do that in a very loud, very hostile environment. And they kept their penalties to a minimum. Very, very impressive. So let's start breaking down the defense by position. We're going to start with that rush end defensive line. So I gave them a B. I thought they actually played pretty well, considering they had to kind of change things up a little bit. They went big, so to speak. They got creative. Solomon Byrd pretty much played most of the game at rush end. When he wasn't in there, I saw Alex Grinch get creative with the alignment. They moved Tuiapelotu out to the rush end. I saw Dejon Benton out there on a couple occasions. So if the goal was to stop Oregon State's run game, they accomplished it because, you start the run stops at the defensive line, and USC only gave up 150 or so yards in the run game, which is half of what they gave up at home the year previous. So again, they weren't able to get a ton of pressure on the quarterback when Chance Nolan, Oregon State's quarterback, was dropping back. However, they did get enough pressure to force 4 interceptions, and he was throwing off his back foot all night. So they were making plays when they needed to. Linebackers, I actually gave these guys a really solid B, and I might even, if you push me hard enough, I'll give them a B+. And how can you not? Again, they showed improvement. Eric Gentry, 8 tackles, an interception, and his pass breakup at the end of the game led to the game-winning interception. He was everywhere. Shane Lee led the team with 12 tackles. He is the run stopper that you need at that second level. He was doing his job. Even Raylan Goforth, you know what? Those plays really stand out where, he's diving and missing a tackle, but he still keeps fighting, and he actually had some really solid plays as well. But again, I don't recall the tight ends getting too involved in the passing game. The running backs really weren't that involved in the passing game. So they played their assignments. They did their job. And for that, I'm going to stick with that solid B. You want to push me into a B+, no argument whatsoever. The secondary, I'm giving them a B+. And again, when you get 3 interceptions, and they show that they can play physical and tackle, you know what? Yeah, they earned the grade. They earned it. Even we saw some flashes of Damani Jackson, the freshman, playing. And he flashed with some physicality and run support. Not afraid to stick his nose in there and make the tackle. I was really impressed with watching that. Again, Mekhi Blackman, great interception, running with his guy downfield. We see Wright being in the right spot, right time for his. Again, it was forced. I believe Sierra Wright's interception happened because Solomon Byrd was able to get his hands in the Oregon State quarterback's face, falling backwards, throwing off his back foot. It was basically Sierra played center field at the moment, came down with the interception. And then again, Max Williams sealed the deal. Johnny on the spot after Eric Gentry with the tip. Outstanding. We're going to talk about special teams here before I name the MVP. I think everyone will know who my MVP is. I've said the name a few times, Eric Gentry. Maybe that's a fourth time. But we can't forget special teams. Kick coverage, I thought, was really good. They actually really only had one bad moment when they had a really good coverage, but they were too physical, I guess, when the whistle was blowing, and they ragdolled the returner to the ground. Pac-12 officials don't like seeing you throw a guy to the ground. It's too physical. I wouldn't have blown the whistle, nevertheless. But kickoff coverage was really good, so they made improvement. The kick return is still non-existent at this point. We might need to see some different guys back there. If Damani is healthy, let's give him a chance. I think he's got enough speed. I mean, he was a California State 100-meter champion. If he is healthy, I think he can receive the ball as a kickoff and then diagnose whether or not he can get to one side of the field and outrace the opponent's coverage. I'd like to see it. Give him a shot. I thought the punts, you had a couple where they were pinned inside the 15, one pinned inside the 5-yard line. So Aiden Sleep-Dalton, he's getting more comfortable. Hopefully we don't need to see a lot of him throughout the season. But up in Oregon State, when they needed him, he got the job done. We're getting nothing in our punt return still. And then as far as the kickoffs, I'm not sure what was going on. A little bit of a struggle there. I'm starting to get a little concerned with our field goals. Miss a chippy, but you make the long 42-yarder. That's 2 missed field goals now. And I know Dennis Lynch is the hardest working guy that on special teams that Lincoln Riley has ever coached. But, hopefully that will be the only time where USC is playing this type of game in a season, and field goals might not have to play a role. Hopefully, because too many games like that, missed field goals can have an impact on the game. Fortunately, this time it didn't. But yeah, special teams, they need to get better. Overall grade, I'm giving them a C. Again, because I saw improvement, particularly on that kickoff coverage. It was essential. I really thought that that could have been USC's Achilles heel in this game. Fortunately, it was not. MVP, I mentioned his name. I'll say it again. Eric Gentry. What he brings to the table on defense is so unique, and he plays that middle linebacker position. He uses every inch of his 6'6", and he gets everything out of I think they list him at 210 pounds. He's more physical than that. He is not afraid to show you who the boss is when you come across his part of the field. So, overall, I'm going to give the team an overall grade of a B+. Look, you go on the road, you win in a hostile environment. The benefits from that win, as ugly as it was, are going to pay off tenfold as the season goes on. To find out that you can win when the offense isn't doing what it needs to do, rely on your defense, and even when you make mistakes, find a way to win. That will to win, man, it's not going to hurt. Championship teams are going to need games like this I talked about it on yesterday's episode. It bears repeating. You need these types of games to build that championship swagger, to know what it takes because not everything's going to be easy. It never is, right? So now they come home for 2 more games. You've got Arizona State Saturday night, 7:30, Washington State the following week after that, before they get ready for that game in Utah. But first up, everybody, make sure you get out to the Coliseum for that 7:30 p.m. kickoff against Arizona State. This team has earned your attention. They're 4-0. They're ranked number 6 in the country. Get out there, support this team. All right, so before we get out of here, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to ask you some questions. What if on Mondays, if my computer will cooperate here, give me a moment, I write a column called Monday's Morass. And what I do is I ask some questions, kind of like, they literally start off, what if this had happened? And of course, my computer doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm going to bring it up over here, and I'm going to talk into the blind. So the first question, what if the transfer portal didn't exist? And I'm not going to answer this. This is more of a rhetorical question I'm going to throw out to you guys. And give me your feedback. Hit me up on Twitter. Give me your feedback on YouTube. What if the transfer portal didn't exist? In other words, what if Eric Gentry didn't play for USC? Think about that. Think about this. What if Bobby Haskins doesn't recover Travis Dye's fumble? Does 4th and 6 happen? Does USC win the game? Or, you know what? Here's one. What if Reser Stadium had a level playing field? And I'm not talking about, putting up those large speakers and pumping in amplified music and crowd noise. Would the offense have played better? Would Caleb have played better if he wasn't throwing a football like he was on a pitching mound? Just throwing that out there. Eventually, you'd think he would have to get used to it, or at least, roll out. And here's the ultimate what if. And I mentioned this earlier in the show. What if the officials had blown the 4th and 6th play dead before the nail-on nudge started? We know the Pac-12 officials, they are anything but consistent. And when that play, when Caleb's momentum had come to a stop, there was at least, I counted 1 Mississippi, and I was like, oh gosh, don't come whistle. Finally, Brett showed up. Jonah showed up. The push started. They got across for the first down. But man, what if that whistle had blown? Crazy. And it starts giving you that vibe as, could this be a special year for USC? We'll find out starting on Saturday, right? All right, guys. I think we're out of here for this show. We'll have another one because you get Locked On USC 5 days a week. But if you want to read and get the what I really said in my article, head on over to wearesc.com when you're done here. We've got a 1-week special for free. You can check out all of our VIP subscriber stuff. Scott Schrader's got some really good recruiting information you really need to go check out. And again, when you're done with Locked On USC, making it watching your first listen every day, eventually you're going to head on over to wearesc.com and get all of your other news and notes, because I can only give you so much in 30 minutes. That's what we do. So until then,